Hey guys, and welcome back to Mangotology. If you're new here, let me introduce myself to you. My name is Steven Mango, and I'm an ex-Scientologist who makes videos here on YouTube exposing Scientology. So if you'd like to stay up to date on all my videos, please make sure to go down below and hit that red subscribe button and turn on your bell notifications, and you'll get an alert whenever I release a new video exposing Scientology. And for today's video, I'm going to give you guys a full life update and spill the tea on all things Steve Mango. We're going to be talking about Scientology and how it's either affecting my life or not still. I'm going to be talking about my physical health and the diagnosis I got recently, my mental health. I'm going to be talking about just everything that's been going on in my world, more or less, since I know it's been many months since I've been on my channel, and a lot of you guys have been wondering, like, hey, what is going on with you? And did Scientology get you back in? What is the scoop? So I'm going to be telling you guys all that in today's video, so keep on watching. Hi again, guys. It is so good to be back here on YouTube. I've missed you guys, and I just want to let you all know, in case you didn't see yesterday's video, you don't have to watch it consecutively or anything like that, but it's a brand new story about stuff that's been going on in the last few weeks involving me now working with a celebrity Scientologist, I know, and also about me working on set and an actress recruiting people into Scientology, and I was in one of those recruitment sessions. So check out that video after this one. It's on my channel. You can just go check it out down below when you finish this video. And I know some of you guys don't care about me. You don't want to hear a personal life update, and you're just here for like Scientology activism, but I feel like my channel is more my story and involving like the very real effects of struggling with post-traumatic stress and dealing with like such a big loss of who I was and my spirituality and like the recovery process that a lot of people don't share as much, at least that I haven't seen. At least you guys tell me if there's another like ex-Scientology activist who shares the real mental effects. Now, I did post a video like this back in January, and some of you guys have already seen that video where I was talking about going to nursing school, and I'm going to be telling you guys about some of these different things in this video. I took it down because not that I don't stand by it still, but there's just my life is like a roller coaster. It's up and down always. Like if I filmed this video 2 weeks ago, it would have been different than it is me sitting down today to do it. So yeah, you guys probably heard a few different updates, but I'm going to be kind of giving you guys the update now. It is May 21st. So if you're seeing this between May 21st and May 23rd, this is like brand new about what's going on with my life. So let's just jump right in. So in terms of, I don't even know where to start. Let's just talk about like how Scientology is affecting my life or not anymore. So I realized once I stepped away from YouTube for a little while, how much more, and I'm not saying I'm mentally stable by any stretch of the imagination, but I felt like a big relief. It's almost like that pressure off of my back in a way. And I feel like even though the job isn't done of exposing Scientology, I don't anticipate stopping. I have more videos about Scientology that I think are meaningful that people aren't talking about right now that I have to share with you guys, because I'm never going to come to a place where it's just like over for me. I'm an empath, and I feel so greatly for just other people. Like if you guys saw my video from yesterday, like that guy who was being recruited on set of the streaming service show, I felt like so much emotion and pain and like, oh my God, this guy, maybe he's in a vulnerable place in his life, and I just want to like save everyone. But once I took that back a little bit and realized, hey, I can't save the whole entire world, nor it's my responsibility. I like making these videos. I like informing the public about the abuses of Scientology, but it also is a lot to feel like, hey, I'm making these videos, for example, nothing is really changing in sense of like the tax exemption being revoked or things of that like big magnitude. I know you guys reach out and say, hey, I didn't join Scientology. I came across your 2.5-hour video and stuff like that. And I love to hear that, but it's just, I feel like, oh, why isn't, Scientology just being boarded up shut? There's all these abuses, all these people who have spoken up ever since I started to in 2013. Why isn't there more change? I know the orgs are empty. I drive by every day. I live near several orgs in LA. It's not anything like it used to be in terms of the traffic and volume of people going in, but I drive down the street here in LA and I see people and the recruiters now after COVID-19 trying to bring people right back in the doors. Like they waited till the day they were able to start trying to recruit new victims. So it's very hard for me to see that and not be able to do something. But once I dialed it back a little bit and I just kind of started living my life and kind of pursuing some of my other interests, which I'm going to be talking about in this video, I'm like, oh wow, it's like I didn't realize like how much like lighter I feel and how much more I feel like I can now move on in my life. I'm in a place where I have other goals and things, where I didn't move to LA to like get into Scientology, leave, and like have my fixation in life be only about Scientology. And I say others who do it, the Mike Rinders of the world or Tony Ortegas, and if that's what they want to fight 7 days a week, then power to them. Like, I support people who are doing this work, obviously, but I don't want it to be like my full-time career. I need to do something where I'm not just talking about traumas and abuses and like just very heavy stuff involving a dangerous cult that's literally like in my backyard. Not right here, but literally only like a mile down my street. So it's a big subject. I've been always trying to figure out like how I want to move forward. I am writing my book, and I just started writing again yesterday, telling my whole story, opening up about things I've never spoken about with Scientology and with my like background in my life, so you guys understand too, like, how did I get roped in the first place? What was my childhood like? What was it like growing up and being bullied for my sexuality, hiding it, coming to LA, getting in this criminal cult, just the highs and lows of it all. So I'm writing that book. Maybe it'll be out in the fall. I'm not really sure. It just depends on mentally like where I'm at in the game. So that's basically that. It's not really affecting my life as greatly as it used to. I used to drive by the orgs and have like a pain in my, heart or my stomach, and now I'm like a little bit in a place where like there's greener grass, there's other pastures, there's things I want to do in my life that don't involve talking about Scientology all the time. I'm still young. I'm going to be 30 in July 5th. And, I want my 30s to be me pursuing like other professional growths and things in my life to like turn a new leaf. So that's what's been going on with that. So when you guys don't see me, it's like I need to take that break for myself. And maybe I'm just not, I don't want to say mentally strong, but I'm in a place emotionally where sometimes I need to do it for myself, just to like cleanse myself of like the energy, I guess you would say. So that's that. So the physical health stuff. So I guess I'll rewind a little bit to January. I told you guys like, hey, I want to go to school and I want to go for nursing to be an aesthetic nurse. And I've been wanting to do it now for like 2 years, and I feel like last year would have been the perfect time in the middle of a pandemic to have gone back to school, but I'm planning on doing it in the next like few weeks or a few months to like work on the prerequisite courses and stuff like that. And I'm trying to figure it all out, guys, because I know it's a big life decision, and I think I need to go to therapy before I make like big decisions. Like, let me go back to school for like 4 years of my life. Like, I have to really like work with someone on that. We'll talk about the mental health and the therapy stuff in the next section of this video, but I just feel like this is something that excites me in the same way that when I went to hairdressing school, like you can't sleep at night because you'd like wake up and be like, oh, I'm so excited to go and like learn how to do a blowout on a girl's hair, like whatever, like hair coloring, like whatever I wanted to do 5-6 years ago. I have that same sort of passion and excitement for aesthetics and beauty and like the medical side of the beauty world. So, and skincare and dermatology, I know so much about it. I know down to like the reconstitution of Botox, like random stuff like that, which it's become like a passion of mine that I'm like, hey, I want to go to school for it. So I started in January taking 3 classes, and I jumped in, and there were like these 6 weeks of a term instead of 12 weeks. So I jumped in these classes, and this is now playing into my physical health stuff, what was going on. I started getting pain like in my ear and like the left side of my head. It was alarming. I thought maybe, oh, it's COVID or something. I went to get COVID tested, and I was just worried, thinking, oh, I came down with some sort of flu or something like that. I didn't have it, but for like 3 or 4 days, I couldn't attend my online classes. So I was like forced to drop out, because the term is so quick in that 4 to 6 weeks instead of 12 that if you miss 6 hours of like the instruction or whatever, they just say like, hey, just drop out. So I had to drop out, but like the pain and everything that was going on physically, I'm like, hey, like something's like not right here. Like I felt like an ear infection. I wasn't really sure what was going on. So I was kind of falling back into the depression. Why couldn't I, get my life going with school and doing these different things, and I'm not working and going on set, and I started like spiraling a little bit. So let's fast forward to now like a couple of weeks ago. I started feeling this like throbbing, intense, electrifying pain in my head. Like there were some spots, like if you would touch it, it would send a jolt only on like the left side of my head and into like this side of my face. It'd be like here, like kind of like here, and like on like this side of my head, and also in my ear is almost like a pressure in there. Now you guys might know, if you've been following me for a while, I had a spinal schwannoma, which is a non-cancerous tumor, removed on my tailbone, and I had a laminectomy, a decompression, was a whole entire thing. And I also have a schwannoma on one of my right ribs, which is referring pain into my thoracic spine, and I found out I have a bulging disc in my neck, like C5 or C6. I don't really know exactly the exact spot, but there's that as well. So I'm thinking, what's going on? I'm thinking maybe it's a vestibular schwannoma, which like you eventually lose your hearing and your balance, because my equilibrium was thrown off. But it was to the point where I couldn't even put my head on the pillow without jolting pain. I would like brush my hair and get like shocks of pain. I'm like, maybe I need a new like brush. Maybe it's like irritating my scalp. But I didn't realize that there was something going on here, and I thought it would be a tumor. So I'm getting CAT scans, I'm getting MRIs with and without contrast, like doing the whole entire diagnostics to try to figure out what's going on. I ended up in the ER once or twice, you know, of course getting shot up IV-wise with like Dilaudid and morphine and, you know, the whole 9 yards, because it was like that severe of the pain. And you guys know they just don't give out those type of medications casually, like, oh, you're in pain, here, go take Dilaudid via IV push. Like, they don't do that unless it's that intense of a pain. And I went to urgent care like 3 times, maybe 4 times. This is all within like 2 weeks of how bad the pain was. And again, I'm on like morphine, all these things, and they don't know what's going on with me. So everyone's terrified, thinking I have a brain tumor, I'm going to get brain surgery and all these sort of things. They said, oh, like, you know, we're giving you like anti-inflammatory drugs like Toradol, like why isn't it clearing up? Like why is the pain still like so severe and hard to control? What they found out, and I never had like migraines or anything like that before, but again, only in the left side. So then they were saying I have trigeminal neuralgia. If you guys know what trigeminal neuralgia is, it's said to be one of the worst pain conditions a human being could have. It's nicknamed a suicide disease because people have so much severe pain from this that they kill themselves. Like, that's how bad the pain gets. So I ended up seeing a neurologist who's like a pain management doctor type of thing, and I got like nerve blocks all on the side of my head probably about a month ago, all on the side. And at this time I couldn't work, guys. I couldn't, like, I was in bed all day and night, more or less. It felt like the most like excruciating, intense pain I've ever felt in my life. And whichever nerves that she was injecting, the lidocaine or the nerve block, whatever medication it was that she injected and the different things that she did for that have kept it at bay. I go again on Wednesday, so I might just get more just preemptively, hoping that like I don't have like a flare-up or an attack of it. But yeah, trigeminal neuralgia is not a joke, and there's a lot of other, I thought maybe it was occipital neuralgia, I don't know what was causing it, but that was one of the indicators that it ended up being, so I at least knew what was causing it, and it's like at bay right now. The reason I bring it up though is just, it's part of like my story of like things that have been going on recently, and it just felt like one thing after the next, thinking for several weeks, like maybe I have a brain tumor, maybe something's going on. I can't sit down and film a video when I was in that type of condition, so it just felt like last year, even though the pandemic was stressful for the uncertainty aspect of it, for me, it gave me a chance to kind of like dial things back and like evaluate my life. No pressure of like working, job, school, acting, like any of the things that were present in my life, I didn't have to worry about. I didn't have to think like, oh, Scientology's recruiting people in and scamming them of money. Like I have to hop on camera and hope one of my videos goes viral. It wasn't just anything that was like on my mind at the time. It was just like a really peaceful thing. And then once life kicked back up again, all the problems of everything that I've been dealing with like kind of came back in terms of like working and like all these different things that have been kind of happening. But let's go into like the mental health side of things first. I know I'm kind of jumping into all different areas of my life, but I'll tell you guys about the mental health, since my channel is kind of also like a mental health channel just because of how Scientology is anti-mental health. They're anti-psychiatry, anti-therapy, anti-all of that. So for me to get the help I need and for me to understand mentally what goes on, it's part of like my story and my recovery, and I like to talk about it because I know you guys relate to the mental health stuff. A lot of you guys who do watch my channel frequently know I have my ups and downs with it. So you guys know I have borderline personality disorder. I don't know if that diagnosis is honestly accurate or not, because I don't find myself manipulative. I don't think I'm like a lot of like the bad elements of borderline personality disorder, but I do have a really intense like fear of abandonment and like things that I do relate to that diagnosis with. But I actually had someone on my comment section. I know, like, don't take medical advice on YouTube comments, but they said, oh, maybe you have Asperger's syndrome, like part of like autism. And I'm like, maybe I am a little bit on the spectrum. And it's something that I do want to explore or see if maybe I'm neurodivergent. I don't know if I am, but it made sense. Like, I'm very like socially anxious. I don't know how to be around people. Like, I get scared around people, and I'm like awkward and uncomfortable, and like I could talk about like something that someone has no interest, like they're on their phone, and I can talk for like 30 minutes about like a green apple, and the person's like, this is probably like not appropriate to be talking about or whatever. So I do kind of relate to that diagnosis of how I don't really fit into the world. I don't know if maybe I'm too self-aware to be. I don't know a ton about it, but when I was talking about my mental health and someone's like, oh, I kind of see those traits or that element that maybe you could have this condition, I am going to look into it. It's been hard to say. I feel like I'm very self-destructive in a lot of ways, and even with my YouTube channel and stuff, like when things would be like on the up and up, even on my other channel, when things are on up and up, it's almost like I get self-destructive, and like I don't, like if I'm close to success, I like push it away. And I don't know why I do that, whether it's in other jobs or different things. Like when I'm getting to a place where things are good, I like self-sabotage and take like 10 steps back. And I don't know why I do it. And I've been realizing it's kind of like been a problem that's like surfaced in my life. And I think that my like intense anxiety and stuff that I've been like dealing with and struggling, the depression and stuff, I have the good days and bad. I have days where like I can't even get out of bed, and other days I have like energy to like make videos and do social media content or do things, but it's usually on one side of the spectrum or the other, where I'm either really productive or I'm like in a crippling depression for like weeks or months on end. So I don't really know what it is, but I know that especially like I said earlier with like going to school and doing stuff like that, if my anxiety is crippling or if I don't understand something in school, like even in the beginning, I was so behind in like one of my science classes that I took, where it's just almost like I check out and it's like, okay, I'm already so far behind even after like a 2-hour class, where I just like panic, I get stressed out, and it's like I don't know how to handle it, and then I just give up on it. And I hate that I do that, and it's like this cycle that continues. So that's basically what I'm dealing with in terms of like the mental health stuff. I want to go to a therapist. I need to find someone. You guys have known about my therapy struggles, like finding like a good competent therapist who's like equipped to deal with my stuff. I haven't found anyone who's in my insurance network, so I'm going to go out of my insurance network and go out of network and pay like more money to see someone, just because I feel like I need to do that, even if it's like twice a week. I need to find a way, take a day off, whatever it is, just to make sure that I go and I talk to someone who's proficient in these different things, because my mental health has just been like a little bit all over the place. You guys know I'm not going to go into a whole thing about it because it could be triggering for the next like minute in terms of being, let's just say, gun violence, just so you guys understand. Like skip this section a little bit if that's going to be triggering to you. But I was in a shooting a few months ago when I was in my car. I've talked about this, I don't know if the video is still up on my channel, where one of my friends was driving me back home. He's from a different state, and we eventually got back to my house. He was driving this car, and we see two gunmen. One had two guns, one had one, and they were shooting them and firing them off right next to our car. And, you know, we're ducking for cover, and the second that they were a little bit past, like say my house is here, once they were like here, we had to literally jump out. I was like shaking, trying to open my gate and to get us in the house. There's men running up the hill. Someone was shot in this, not my friend or me, but like traumatizing stuff that I haven't worked out, right? So it's like stuff like that where it was like at least for like almost like a month, like I couldn't sleep and I was having anxiety. I couldn't let the dogs out at night. Like I'd have my husband, even though we have a gated home, like have my husband go out at night because I was just so unsettled that it happened right outside my house. This wasn't like it was happening, you know, at the grocery stores. I'm like, this is actually happening like right outside my house. I'd have like episodes, I think is the best way to describe it. And in Scientology, go in session, do Dianetics, run it out. Like Scientology would promise like an absolute result with mental health. And that was always what was difficult for me leaving, was because I was brainwashed under the impression that you could erase the pain of that incident from something being reactive to then having it just be like what they would consider like a file stored in the analytical part of the brain, where it's just like, okay, this was the event, but there's no pain, no emotion to it, and you're completely like removed from it. And that could be a car accident, like any sort of pain or trauma. Scientology promises they can fully mentally erase completely. So that's what I think I held on to for so long, was this idea that I do struggle with, you know, a lot of post-traumatic stress, whether Scientology or not, and different things like that, where I felt, oh, maybe I'd be able to eradicate this type of pain that I'm experiencing. And it's not true. Like, everyone, Scientologist or not, has pain in your life, and maybe they just are like pushing it down instead of really resolving it, to say go in session and hold the cans and talk about it over and over and over again, to somehow it just becomes a memory and not like a painful triggering thing. So that, it's, for me, it was like unwinding Scientology's lies and things, and trying to realize that therapists and people like that are, in recounting these different events and stuff like that, they're trying to help you. Like, they're not trying to like brainwash you or implant you with, you know, the idea that you have to be on pharmaceutical drugs, like whatever Scientology would make you think. Like, there are these evil people that are trying to get you hooked on these medications, and they're trying to dumb you down and hypnotize, just like all this like nonsense and garbage, where I'm not at a place personally yet where I want to be on like an antidepressant or those things. It doesn't mean that if you're on them or if they've helped you, that like I'm not against it. But for me, like, I feel like I want to talk through the different issues and stuff with these professionals, and I want to be on like less medication than like more. Maybe if I was going through another episode like that, maybe it would have been beneficial. I even thought about it. I'm like, maybe I should be on like some anti-anxiety drug, just if it's like an episode, like just to take it like once if I'm having like a mental breakdown one night or something like that. I could see that. I just don't like being on like long-term medication. It's my own thing that I have to work out, but I'm trying to find a good therapist. You guys know, like, I've had some weird experiences. Even the last guy's like, why would you want to talk about Scientology? Just get over it. It was in like your past, like just focus on like what's going on right now. I'm like, if I'm having issues with moving forward, and not just Scientology, this was like, again, maybe a year and a half or 2 years ago, whenever the last time I went to therapy was, why don't we go back to those different things so you can help me move past it, so then I'm not dwelling on things like that, or the shooting I was in, or different things, so then I can move on and like come to a place where I'm like productive in society. So I'm working on it. Not claiming my mental health is perfect by any means, but I'm at a place in the last like week, not that long, but in a place where I'm able to want to start like moving on in a like healthy, productive way. So that's what's been going on with that. And the other thing, and I'm talking kind of fast, guys, because I'm trying to cover a lot of bases and not make this an hour video, but maybe a 30-minute video. What happened in the pandemic, which was really rattling to me, but really helped me move on in a big way, was kind of pushing aside the ex-Scientology community. I didn't realize how toxic it really was until I separated from it. You guys know the stories. Go back on the channel if you haven't seen it. The videos about Karen De La Courier scamming me out of $7,500, how she was still an independent Scientology counselor. When I exposed it, she was calling the police, saying that I was like harassing an elderly person making these videos. Like, she felt unsafe or something like that. I'm like, lady, I'm just calling out how you scammed me. It happens a lot, and I see this where people call out like an abuser, and instead of them taking like accountability for their actions, and they like flip it like they're the victim. It's like if a victim speaks up about something, the person who was perpetrating these different bad things then try to play the victim role, when it's like, it's crazy just how the mind works like that. Once I saw how she was acting like Scientology, trying to pay people like Chris Shelton, who made a video badly about me, the Angry Gay Pope. You guys know he made 1 or 2 videos that were very like below the belt about me, calling out my mental health, and just taking like these below the belt shots about things that people struggle with their mental health in the real world, guys. I'm open about it. I'm not pretending I'm perfect, right? Not just mental health, but just about my life in general. It's like I didn't understand why like she would work behind the scenes to pay people to make videos to make it seem like other people were exposing me, because she didn't want to directly confront me. So she never apologized, she never refunded me, she never like took any steps to rectify like how she wronged me for thousands of dollars, telling me not to get mental health therapy when I was suicidal, asking for help. Just pay her for more money apparently was the way to get that help. by going into the Scientology counseling. The ex-Scientology community took a turn against me. My Grindr unfriended me, like dozens and dozens and dozens of them did, because she was friendly with them. And what happened, I started seeing the person who took advantage of me on someone like Leah Remini's podcast being given a platform instead of being like deplatformed in a way, because she still has a YouTube channel, she's still a public personality. I could call her out in the sense that it's not like she's like a private person. She's out here, you know, acting like a Scientology activist while scamming someone like me behind the scenes for so long. So once I saw the ex-Scientology community was fair gaming, just like, you know, cutting me off and spreading rumors behind the scenes, they're all going on DMs and social media, like talking crap about me and telling like, hey, you have Steven Mango on your friends list, you should get rid of him. But what do? They go and they speak up about people in the church, the cult, I shouldn't call it a church, but in the cult, who would do the same thing. Don't talk to Steve Mango, he's an enemy of our church. It turned into, though, don't talk to Steve Mango, he's an ex-Scientology whistleblower, I guess. I don't know like what the word would be. You know, people trying to accuse, like maybe he's back in Scientology, or they're paying him to like speak up about it. Look, maybe he's OSA. Like they come up with all these things, and it's a way for them to have this sort of thing where they don't take that responsibility. They don't take accountability. If I have something negative to say about any Scientology critic, apparently that must mean to them that I've gone back into the church, or they were paying me like thousands of dollars to speak up or make these videos. Kind of like how people accuse Marty Rothman of being like some turncoat spy or something like that, right? They started saying the same thing about me, more or less, but they all knew I wasn't, but they couldn't justify why I was speaking up about their abuses within their own little circle. And the way I say abuses is it was when you tell someone who's suicidal not to get help, putting them under the mental manipulation, like, hey, pay me thousands of dollars for this counseling. Like, you don't want to see a therapist. You don't want to undo any of like the good that we're doing in these like counseling sessions, right? So I've obviously learned my lesson since then, but I felt during the pandemic I was really brave to come forward about this, and then all the gaslighting and all the, you know, trauma I faced of these, not really trauma, but it was almost more like the backstabbing of feeling like these people that were supposed to be there for me during like my time leaving Scientology, and thinking these people would be my acquaintances to help me through what I went through. They took advantage of me, and then when I call it out, they all got rid of me. So I started seeing the parallels between their group and Scientology. I'm like, I don't want anything to do with that. Luckily, though, a lot of you guys had my back during this time, and I do think it was good for me to get this off my chest and not let other people make me feel bad that I was speaking up about these people that are supposed to be like these Scientology heroes. You can't be a critic attacking another critic. I'm not going to rehash everything all over again. You guys have plenty of videos on this channel if you want to like binge and figure out what happened. I put like screenshots of direct messages and emails and like everything in those videos. So if you guys want the tea on that, there's many videos about that. But the point being was that once I spoke up about it, I'm like, oh, like I don't have anyone controlling me saying, make a video about this, or you have to go to this special dinner and we're all going to talk about how we're going to take down Scientology. And just like the around the clock, did you see the story that Tony Ortega posted? Like, what are you going to do about, like, just the way that they were like behind the scenes trying to not help me get better, but trying to rile me up to feel like I need to be fighting, and it's your responsibility, Steve, and what you went through. Like, why aren't you making more content? It was just like a really toxic environment to be in. And it was interesting because, you know, I would see someone like Chris Shelton on Twitter on his like bio being like, you know, be nice, I'm not going to debate others, be kind to one another. I'm like, but you made a whole video attacking Steve Mango a year ago because Cara Le Courier told you to, so how much of a free thinker are you if you can be bought off by someone? So I never understood that, and it was actually interesting because one of my, I'm not going to tell the person's name because it's not like I ran this by them, but actually Aaron Smith-Levin made this post on Facebook. If I have it, I'll put it up here, and maybe I'll read it if I have time in the video, or I'll put it in another video. But he made this post like attacking me, like in a behind-the-scenes group about ex-Scientologists, let's put it like that. Maybe like warning people about me. I don't remember like the way that he phrased it all, but I'm just going back on my memory. But he told someone that I know recently who went to an event, you know, they were the Cult City Tour thing in Clearwater. He told someone like, oh, Steve Mango was actually right all along about like Karen and like what I came out about. And it's like, but why didn't anyone take my side in the ex-Scientology community? Why were they so scared that, they were so afraid of Karen that they didn't want to stand up for me because she was seen as too powerful as the ex-Scientologist, even though she's not. But it was just very interesting that he would admit, like, behind the scenes to someone like, yeah, Steve Mango was right about everything that he said. But behind the scenes, like months prior, he's like bashing me on social media because that was the cool thing to do. So I never fit into those type of circles, I think because I'm younger and I wasn't on the ship with Hubbard with them like 100 years ago. But, I realized like those weren't my people. And that's why, like, when I'm telling you guys, like, I'm thinking about going to school and doing other things with my life, I have to move on from these different sort of things. And any shred of like the tethered rope to these people, like, I need to move on because I just feel like it's just so toxic all around. So that kind of brings me into like what I'm doing, like kind of moving forward, like professionally, like am I going to do social media or like what is like to come for me? I'm still going to make my videos. I don't know if I'm going to be inspired enough to do them every couple days, every day for a while, and then maybe once every 3 months or every 6 months or every day for 5 years. I don't know what that's going to look like. I think when I have a good story, I'm going to break it. I'm not just going to make an excuse to come on YouTube like some people do. Speaking about the ex-Scientology community, making like 5 videos every single day or 3 videos or 2 videos. Like, it's just like overkill at a point, and I've told a lot of the majority of my story already on YouTube, so there's only so many times I'm going to rehash that, and to the point where like I want to tell other people's story. I have a couple guests that I want to bring on here that aren't like tied to the ex-Scientology community, to where it's not like this calculated effort. It's more just like people who might not have ever told their story. Like, it's just interesting though when you do think about it. Why are there certain ex-Scientologists and we see the same couple people being rehashed on every podcast, every YouTube thing, whatever, like television? We see the same people. And I want to bring some other people on who haven't told their story 500 times. And again, speaking about some of those ex-Scientologists, because now I'm heated about it, it's just like they only bring on their friends as if their friends are the only people who have a story about Scientology, right? Like Mike Rinder only would bring on his friends to Leah's show. And Karen De La Carriere apparently would like vet guests to put on because they're telling, and I've talked about this in my Karen series, because it ended up being a whole series about how they have, like, for example, she would tell me like a journalist wants to talk to people about Scientology. So she would tell me what she wants, like what points she wants me to hit that go along with like their narrative, right? Not saying any of it's false, but it's like, we have to get across this point. You have to tell the journalist this. Even it's 100% true. I never would just tell a random story, but a couple of years ago, someone like that would feed me contacts in the media, right? So it's the same sort of thing. Like they would bring on all their friends, and obviously that's why you didn't see me on the Aftermath or Leah's podcast and stuff like that, because they only bring on like their friends that they know would get across a certain line. Let's put it like that. I'm spilling all the tea today, but it's the truth. I don't have any ill will like towards like Mike Rinder. Like, I'm glad that he's able to work with Leah to do this type of work. It's hard to do, like, good for them, but I just don't understand like why they can't have more variety of guests. And I'll bring people on for you guys if that's what you want to see me, like, interview people. And I've already done that. Maybe last year I brought a person or two on my channel. The Reckless Ben guys, and I brought on an actor who was scammed by Scientology. So I want to bring people that are like aligned to my channel, more like the entertainment industry side of things. But I'll maybe spread things out. I'll see kind of how things go. But yeah, I get so heated thinking about the ex-Scientology community. Like, I just wished it was a place that would harbor like support and encouragement, and it's not like this like chess piece sort of thing that it ended up turning into. And someone like Mark Headley, who had a whole entire like screaming fest threatening me on emails, like there was just so much behind the scenes that I should do like a 1-year update video. That would probably be the best thing to do. But anyways, again, rambling about that, I'm thinking about, like I said, back in school in a couple of weeks. I want to do nursing. I really want to be an aesthetic nurse. I know some people are saying like mentally, or maybe just like how I am, I might not be a good nurse. People are saying like if I'm too like sensitive, or just like my general way of being, that some people said that it would be good because I'm very sensitive to people's needs. Other people are saying, hey, like you're a mess, like you're not going to make a good nurse. But I want to do like aesthetics, beauty, skincare, fillers, Botox, all of that. And I'm like kind of dead set on doing it, even though science isn't my forte. I'm trying to figure out a way that I could study science, maybe get a tutor or do something because it's been like 10 years, honestly, or 11. No, wait, 2009 was when I graduated high school. It's been 12 years since I've been in school, so I don't remember how to cite sources in a essay. I don't know how to form a thesis. I don't remember this stuff, guys. It's been a very long time. And I'm going to try to do it. I don't know if I'll succeed, but I really want to try and see what happens. In terms of acting, I don't really want to be an actor anymore, guys. I don't know what it is. I don't have the passion for it. Like, I want to do commercial acting, actually. I'm thinking about getting new headshots for that. For the chance that I get an audition. I audition once every like 6 months. I don't get the opportunity very often. Before the pandemic, I auditioned for this series. It's like this limited series that was based on the Hollywood Reporter article about Angeline, like the old lady that drives around LA in the pink Corvette. I don't know if you guys know who that is, but she's like notoriously famous in LA. I was auditioning to play her assistant in this like mini series. Emmy Rossum, I don't know who the actress is. She's like one of the stars of this series. So I auditioned for that, didn't get it. I auditioned for, was it a State Farm commercial? It was one of the big insurance companies. I auditioned for a commercial like literally the week before the pandemic began. Didn't book that because the pandemic started. So I have some auditions that would happen, but very infrequent. And I can't base my life on an audition every couple months. And I never book anything anyway. So I'm like, well, if I really want to invest in the headshots and the demo reels and blah, blah, blah all over again, it's a lot, you know, just to spend thousands of dollars to jump back into something that I only do but ends up being more like a hobby. So I would like to be a commercial actor. If I can be like Flo from Progressive and just do commercial acting my whole life and make millions of dollars, I would love that, don't get me wrong. And it would give me a lot of freedom financially to do my other interests. But I think even if that did happen, I would still try to go to school. Whereas 2 years ago, I would have just fully rode that train and never would have thought about education or any of that. Because I see how important it is. You can't make a living in today's day and age without a degree. And I say that because like a bachelor's degree is now like the new high school diploma. Like everyone has a bachelor's, and that doesn't necessarily mean anything as it did years ago. I just feel like it's a different adventure for me. I get bored very easily and I want to do the beauty nursing. I think for me though, for me to switch up from like doing all this entertainment stuff for 12 years, whether it was YouTube or social media, whatever, or just pursuing acting, all these different, you know, over the years, for me then to switch gears, I'm like, I want to go in the medical profession. It's scary. It's scary to think like I'm gonna have to learn, go to school for all that time, pass like nursing boards, and then go and like deal with the professional element of trying to deal with interpersonal relationships in the workplace. I'm not good with talking to people or customers or patients. It would be like, I would really have to like be in a good headspace and also be able to like learn these different skills and then start at the bottom in like 5 years. So it's like, I'd have to be prepared to like go on like a very long journey with this. So maybe you guys would be interested in following me on that journey. Maybe I'll start a channel of like my nursing school journey and becoming a nurse. I feel like I need that accountability. I feel like I want like a little bit of like normalcy in my life. Like sitting in front of a camera and like doing social media stuff is cool, but I want to have a little bit more of a normal life. I don't like to always put my life out there for the whole world, even though it seems like I do, I really don't. And even though I've been talking about how I was doing background and stand-in work, if you were watching my last video, but it's a sort of thing where even though you get on one production, you work a couple days and then you might not work again for 3 weeks or a month or 3 months, or you can be working 5 days a week for 6 months straight. It's so unpredictable, and so many people have been trying to do it because it's an easy job to get into, in the sense that once you sign up and you have photos and you get people just literally calling you on the phone like, hey, show up on set at this time and we're going to pay you a couple $100s. People like that. It's not easy, but it's fast money. I kind of attribute it to being like a stripper. When you're a stripper, it's hard to get out of that life because you're like maybe going into the nightclub, stripping all night, making $1,000, and then you're like, yeah, I could go back to school and not make any money for a couple years and then start at, $15 an hour or something, and then it's like, oh, well, I'd rather just strip and make the easy $1,000. It's literally the same type of thing without taking off your clothes. You're making hundreds of dollars, and it's like, oh, I can stop all of this to make zero for a long time and struggle, or I can just make the easy paycheck. So I'm just trying to figure out like what I want to do with it. I don't really want to be an actor, so I don't really like doing like background or stand-in stuff because like my heart's not in it right now. but I'm in it literally just for like the money. So I'm trying to fend out the calls and stuff like that. I did have a job at a medical spa that ended up falling through. I worked one day. I was amazing at it. The pay was pretty good. And long story short about it, they called me on the phone and let me go the next day. I think because one of my old managers at a salon that I worked at is now the district manager of this medical spa. Like, what's the chance of that happening? Didn't like me because I had a lawsuit with that last hair salon, and I think that's why they let me go, because the regional manager was the manager at that salon and she did not like me. So I think when she found out that I was working there, even though it's years later and I'm a different person now than I was then, they just decided not to move forward, or they could be closing, or something's going on, because all their employees were like 6 weeks, into the job, but they've been open for 5 years. So something was very weird. I saw they had a class action lawsuit as well with a couple of different employees for like labor disputes. So something was going on there, but it kind of made me feel like, why can't I function in the real world? Like, why can't I just get a normal job that I go to? Like, I'm just aspiring to just kind of like start my life like kind of offline too. But I don't know, maybe it's just a sign that I'm supposed to do this, or I'm supposed to go to school, or it just wasn't meant to be. And I think that once I have like the more higher up skill of being a nurse, then I'm less disposable in a way than just working at the front desk of someplace. So that's literally everything that's been going on in the last couple months. I'm trying to think if there's anything last minute. Just like dealing with like friends and stuff like that. I don't really have any friends in LA, and just the drama with that. That's why I consider you guys my friends. I like talking about my problems to you guys, because you guys actually know me pretty well and give genuine advice and understand my struggles over the last couple years. Whereas like I've been trying to make friends with different people of all different like socioeconomic things, like really, really rich people that I was hanging out with recently, and I'm like, I don't really fit in with them. And then I was hanging out with people who like literally don't have anything. Like, I've been kind of like trying to figure out like, who do I kind of mesh with? People in the entertainment industry, people who have like nothing to do with it. So I've been kind of dabbling, trying to find like people that I kind of click and connect with. But I've just been lonely. That's why I'm like, maybe when I go to school I'll meet people, or I'll find a community again, which I thought I had in the ex-Scientologists that I actually didn't, that were fake. And I want people who don't have anything to do with Scientology, don't know what it is, and just like me for me, and not like, oh, he has X amount of followers, or, whatever people do in LA that is like the fake thing that people talk about. Otherwise, things are pretty good, even though there's not like a lot of negatives. Things have been pretty good. I'm able to make these videos. Things with my husband are great. Things with I was going to say family, but I have no relationship with my family, so that's been really hard. Yeah, I'll probably fill you guys in on another video. This has been way too long, probably. By now, it's probably 45 minutes. If you watched all the way this far, thank you so much for watching, guys. Make sure to follow me on social media at stevenmango. I like to post like Instagram stories so you guys can kind of see my daily life. That is like a much quicker thing to do than setting up a camera and lights and doing all of this. Make sure you guys are subscribing, turning on your bell notifications, staying tuned for more videos. Check out yesterday's video about the celebrity Scientologist encounter. And yeah, I will see you guys hopefully soon. I missed you guys. I love you, and thank you for watching. Bye, guys.